I used to own a 7-figure catering company, the number one catering and party planning company in Las Vegas. I'm going to talk about why I traded that in for multiple 6 figures and the ability to work on my own. My name is Lori Ballen. If you're new here, welcome. Today, I'm going to talk about the differences between working through leverage, having a big team, and choosing to be a solopreneur. And yes, it's okay for that to be a choice. Let me be the first one to tell you that. When I got into real estate after selling my catering company, I joined a company that was all about teams. Everything that they talked about was teams and building these big businesses with working through others and how to make your first hire and your second hire and where to put people so that it best fits their personalities and how to become the best leader possible. And let me just tell you that I got on every plane. I bought every convention ticket. I read every book. I listened to every interview, and I went all in for more than a decade on trying to build a big business through others. And well, I'll just be honest. I never really heard the words and also be happy. It was just like, here's how to build it, build it, build it, build it, build it. And I understood the whys. I understood the power of what that would mean if I were able to go out and about and make money no matter what I was doing and go on vacation and do all the things. I understood why I was doing it. Now, let me take a step back a little bit. When I met my husband, I was 21 years old. He had a catering company that he had started, but he had recently gone through a divorce. He was actually living in a friend's house, sleeping on a youth bed, just completely crashing and burning at the time, which happens to a lot of us after we get divorced. And so it really wasn't doing anything when I met him, but he had it. So I kind of just had this natural marketing instinct, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know why. It's been with me since I was a child. I was like the number one candy bar salesperson because I learned how to package the candy bars with the Christmas stationery, yada, yada, Avon, all the things. And I just said to him, hey, let me see your now I know it's called a book of business, but at the time it was like manila folders with, a bunch of manila folders, and you opened up where the client was in there. It wasn't computers, and it wasn't in it some sort of a organized database other than being in this box with these manila envelopes in alphabetical order. And I started kind of going through them, and I started realizing that okay, it was the human resources directors that were mostly hiring him and the marketing directors. So I said to him, this is funny, and this is really aging myself, not that you can't already tell, I'm over 50. And I said to my husband, I said, there's this new thing called a fax machine. And if we go get a fax machine, I can create like this little flyer, and all of these human resources directors and marketing directors phone numbers are in the newspaper. This was back when newspapers were a thing before AOL said, you've got mail. And he's like, oh, I don't know, because they were thousands and thousands of dollars. Somehow we made it happen. We got this fax machine. And I sat down, I made these flyers, and I started faxing all of these human resource directors. And what do you know? We started getting calls. My ex-husband was an incredible salesperson and visionary with how to lay out a party and planning and all that. So he would go out and he would end up booking the job. And then together we would orchestrate the whole event. Everything from hiring temps for the day. It eventually turned into having multiple big buildings. We custom built a kitchen. We had chefs. We had a wedding facility. We had banquet halls. We had all the things. We had about 100 employees. And what happened during that time, and I didn't even see it unfolding, what happened was my husband was not the behavioral profile of a leader. He was a risk taker. So he was an entrepreneur type, but wasn't really wanting to go grow other people, lead other people, be the boss of other people, however you want to say it, okay? He could manage them once they were there, but it was he wasn't, I don't know how to say it. It wasn't that type of a builder. So what was happening is I do have that natural behavioral profile, much more of an A personality, and where his is more on the entertainment side. He was a magician. He was used to stages. Mine was more systems, processes, functionality. How do we move from A to Z? So he would come in and say things to me like, hey, Lori, we need to make $40,000 by Friday. Like, that's seriously how it worked. And I would figure out how to make that happen. But it really was all happening because I had that massive marketing element side of me. That was my drive. That was my passion. Get up every day and generate business. Most people don't have that, but that's what mine was. And so it was a nice combination, except for as we started to need to build, to grow, to bring in more people, that started becoming my job. Now we've got all these employees, we're interviewing, we're hiring, human resources, raises, firing people, all the things, the training, a lot of the training that went in. So I'm the entire front of the house now, is what we called that. He's back of the house. So he's chefs and truck loaders and dishwashers and all of that. But I was still doing a lot of the hiring. And what happened was there was less and less time for me to do the marketing, which was a challenge. So I'm frustrated because I need to get to that marketing. And I'm dealing with people all day, which actually is not my favorite thing to do. And people are very surprised when they hear that, because if they knew me, they saw me out front. They saw me doing these big bling bashes with the team and awards and prizes, and I was on stages and speaking. Everybody thought I was all about the people. No, I wasn't. I had to be about the people because that wasn't going to be something my husband did. And eventually, I started trying to hire other leaders to try to move myself out. And you know what I was finding was that it felt like I had to get 5 leaders, because I needed somebody to do this part of what I did and this part of what I did and this part of what I did with all the people. And it was very, very challenging. And then when I would hire somebody at that level, it cost so much money that it just took this massive chunk out of our profits. And it was becoming harder and harder to stay profitable as we're growing. And guess what? I'm miserable. I am miserable. And it was weird because we'd gotten to a point where my husband was going home every day, like at 1:00 in the afternoon, picking up, he would say, we got to pick up the kids from school or whatever it was. And then he just wouldn't go back to work again. And I'm still at the office till 10:00 at night some days working. And it was really putting a strain on me. Eventually, somebody came along and made us an offer to purchase that catering company. And I was happy to get rid of it, because I wasn't happy. I was very, very miserable going to work every day. I did not want to be there because it wasn't what I wanted my life to look like. Before that, I was actually a certified interpreter for the deaf, doing sign language and being an independent contractor. And I was enjoying that process, but I gave that up completely to go run this company with my husband, which had some elements I loved: the marketing side, the packaging side, the branding side, the systems and processes sides even. I just didn't enjoy. I even enjoyed the accounting and the payroll. I just didn't enjoy managing people all day long. And so after we sold the catering company, we only sold it for a couple $1 million. And I won't go into all the details, but we spent 2 or 3 years off. We bought a big house. We did a lot of traveling. We weren't so smart. We're in Vegas, spent some time in the casinos, and the company wound up not paying us everything they were supposed to pay in the long run. So suddenly, years and years later, my husband came in and said, hey, girl, we're broke. Like, we got to go back to work. We got to do something. I'm like, what are we trained for? What in the world is it that we can do that we're trained for? It was kind of funny. And he said, I'd like to do real estate. And I immediately shut it down. I don't want to do real estate. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't like it. It's all about people. It's all about sales. I'm more on the marketing side of it. And he said, listen, you could do the marketing on the front end of it, and I'll do the sales in the back end of it. And again, I was opposed. So I said, no. So he went and became a real estate agent. And it was the first time in our long marriage that we were working separately. And he could not stand that. It really bothered him. So I went to work with my brother's digital marketing company. They owned a website business. He and his buddy had started right out of college, and they were looking for a marketing director. And I was like, all right, I'll come give it a whirl. Now, the challenges that I ran into were I didn't want to take orders. I didn't like that I was being boxed in. I felt like I had way too many limitations on what I could do and couldn't do. And my husband's showing up at the window every day, knock, 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 Lori, come do real estate. So it was like, this was not going to work long term with the separation. So I went and got my real estate license, joined my husband, and hey, we did amazing. I started doing the marketing back then. It was direct mail when I first got started. That was the big deal. This was before we were doing some on the internet. We had websites and all that kind of stuff, but direct mail was still really big back then. And so I was doing postcards and geographic farming and all of that. But man, were we getting business. And then I started getting really into the digital marketing side of it online and building websites and generating leads online. Back then we were doing a lot of Craigslist. Before we knew it, we were the number one agents in the company. And it was incredible. We couldn't even believe it. It was just the two of us. And then we said, you know what, let's start building. So we hired our first admin. We brought a couple agents on the team. And sure enough, before you know it, I'm miserable again. Now, in the beginning, I was going out and doing sales with my husband. I was doing listings, appointments. I worked with a few buyers. We were kind of doing, bouncing off each other, doing these appointments. And I didn't love that. So that's why I was eager to hire, because I didn't want to go on listing appointments. I didn't want to do sales. I didn't want to work with people directly. And eventually, we started building for that reason. And then we wound up separating for 6 months and got back together, and we moved to another company. Now, we were great business partners. That really wasn't the challenge, except for he was 10 years older and he was kind of growing out of wanting to work so much. And I'm still chase. We need to do all this stuff. And we don't have savings. We don't have a cushion that allows us not to have to work. So it kind of started feeling like I was working, and he didn't want to work anymore. Long story. Anyway, got back together, joined Keller Williams, and Keller Williams Real Estate is all about build, grow teams, build teams. And I loved that at first. I was kind of like, yes, nurture me, teach me, help me to learn how to become a better leader. Because I was very bossy when I was in my catering company. I was very, like more like a drill sergeant. Like, let's just get things done. That was kind of my behavioral profile. And I expected results, okay? But I didn't always know how to get the best results out of people. So when I got to Keller Williams, I'm like, great resources. So I got on every plane. I bought every convention ticket. I did everything that I possibly could do. I read all the books. I listened to all the interviews. I'm going to be the best leader possible. And I even remember saying something on Facebook, like, when I have my first profitable $1 million year in real estate, it will not be because of my production. It will be because I learned how to be a leader. And I meant it. I meant it 100%. That is how serious I was about building through others and leverage and learning to do it better than I had done it before. And one of the first big things that they taught us was behavioral profiles. So we all took these behavioral assessments, and I took my first one, and sure enough, I'm in the top 1% of risk takers, leadership profiles, impatient people, which is actually a positive thing in the leadership world, total entrepreneur. But I also had this very strange little element of being an analytical thinker and liking systems and processes, which was rare in my behavioral profile. And then my husband was opposite. He had the high sociability aspect. He loved to be on stages. He loved to go out dancing. He loved to be with people, but his result orientedness was actually at the very bottom, and his impatientness was the bottom, and his need for systems and processes and such was at the top. So because of that, they're like, okay, Lori, that's you, girl. You are the leader. You're running this show. And he was so happy to move behind me and go, yeah, you got this. He was happy to go, okay, I'll float around in this role. You go do that. And I was honestly happy to I was proud of it. I was like, yes, I know. I have this behavioral profile, and it makes total sense now. And now I understand why I'm the way I am, and why I move fast, and why I'm blunt, and all of those things. And it kind of gave me permission to be me, I guess. And I was really excited about that. For the first time, they're saying, yeah, they're not saying you can be a bitch, but they are saying, like, we get you now, and go do you, go be you, because you can grow this thing. And so then I started learning behavioral profiles and who to hire in all the different roles. And that took money and flying and conventions, and I had to go master this, learn. And then I started putting people in those places, and everything we did now is on this behavioral profiling and where everybody goes. And you know what? It didn't make a damn difference. It didn't make a difference. Maybe the people were happier in their roles now because we're not putting administrative profiles in leadership roles, and we're not putting leadership people in boxes like what I experienced when I went and worked for my brother's company. That part was good. They were happier. But I wasn't necessarily seeing more results. I wasn't necessarily seeing more production. The more people we hired, the more money we were not making. It wasn't like, okay, if I hire these people and I train them for 90 days, and let me tell you, I mastered all of that too. I had everything you can imagine, and 90-day welcome guides and all the things, and we're meeting every week, and we're doing one-to-ones, and I was so unhappy. We're doing all the things, and we're not necessarily getting to any more production. You want to know a big reason why? Was because I didn't have the time to go do the marketing that I needed to do. And when I did do the marketing that we needed to do, we didn't have the right person. We still couldn't figure out closing this business, the sales team side of it. And honestly, that's what my husband should have been running, because he was such a sales genius, but he didn't want to. He wasn't his profile. He didn't want to run that. He didn't want to run departments. He just wanted to go be a listing agent and come home and call it a day. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's most of the world. But it was a problem for me because now I felt like I was holding the bag. And I don't believe in victims here. I'm not a victim. I wasn't a victim. I chose absolutely everything I've ever done in my life. I believe that 100%. And he was choosing what his joy was and what his passion was. There's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't work in a partnership. It didn't work anymore because now I'm frustrated and so miserable and so unhappy. And so, you know what I started doing? I started kind of, he basically quit. He basically at some point said, I want to be retired now. I don't know, in his early 50s, how he thought that was going to be a thing, because we didn't have the money to do it. But he wanted out of my line of fire because I was so result oriented. I wasn't mean, but result oriented. Let's go, dude. Let's go. Let's wake up. Let's get on a plane. Let's go do this. We need to build more. We need to grow more. And he's like, whoa. I just want a slow life. I just want things to be whatever. And we just didn't have that kind of makeup to allow for that. So then I started kind of sabotaging. Like, let me just get rid of people. Let me just have people not want to stay on the team. And slowly but surely that'll go away and there'll have to be another option, right? And that's kind of what happened. I just started dissolving the real estate business. Well, while I was doing that, I was over here building my digital marketing company without even realizing it. I had started teaching people how to build real estate websites. I started courses teaching people how to build these real estate businesses. Primarily, my focus was not on teaching people how to build teams. My focus was on lead generation, building websites, doing Craigslist, even direct mail back in the day, whatever it happened to be that I was generating business, because I was really good at that aspect of it. And that was building. So the real estate income was dropping. The digital marketing income was coming up. And I really just wanted the real estate side to go away at this point, but I couldn't, because I'm building this big digital marketing brand that's built on the backbone of the real estate business. So eventually my ex-husband and I did end up getting a divorce, and I started this little digital marketing company. And guess what I did? The same darn thing, build. Okay, I got to build this. I got to have somebody that runs the websites. I got to have somebody that's my admin. I got to have somebody. Before I know it, I'm in my little 900 square foot apartment because that's what I keep saying 900, 750 square feet that I ended up getting with my teenage daughter after the divorce because I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't know where things were going to go. I didn't know if I was going to have to get a job or if I was going to be able to keep this digital marketing business going with no real estate business to really stand on. So what was I going to do? I had to figure that out. Before I knew it, I'm in that little apartment at my kitchen table. And who's at my kitchen table? My big brother, my little brother, my oldest daughter. I have now built an entire business with my family. Some of you are laughing because you know what that looks like, right? And and my sister was there. So let me just tell you, they were wonderful. My older brother is an incredible salesperson. My younger brother is incredible at systems and processes. And he ended up joining my real estate team and getting a license, and he is great at real estate. And my oldest daughter was incredible at her administrative tasks, and she had a marketing gene like I did. And so she was doing great things with the marketing. They were not the problem. I was trying to get results through others, and I was still frustrated all the time. I did not want to be having meetings at my kitchen table. I wanted to be in my pajamas with my hair in a bun, working on a computer, drinking my coffee. And I don't know how it took me so long to realize that this is what was happening to me, was this pain of building, because I couldn't be enough of a leader for what they wanted me to be. If there was blame, I was the one that carried it. If there was a lack of business, I was the one that didn't get paid. And that sounds very victim. So let me rephrase how I'm saying that. It's just the way it is typically, that whoever's the owner of the company is the one that is responsible. Okay, let me put it that way. It's responsible. And I started getting resentful. I was getting resentful. Like, this is not fair. This is not fair. I'm the hardest working one in this group. And they'll all tell you 100% that's true. I'm the one that wakes up first thing when I get my coffee. I'm on the computer working. And until I go to bed at night, it's just how I'm wired. And they don't have that same type of lifestyle. And even like my little brother really does have an incredibly strong work ethic. He had 3 kids, 3 little kids, was just getting divorced, and he's got a life to run, to manage. So it wasn't even fair of me to assume that they would do anything different. And they're on payroll, so they have their structures, you know. And so I realized I needed to. I thought I was gonna lose my mind. I was just so depressed, and I was having such a hard time, and nobody on public knew it, because I'm putting on the best face I have because I'm a positive person. But here I am dealing with a divorce marriage of 25 years, and trying to figure out what life is going to look like, and trying to raise my 13-year-old, and trying to build this big business. It isn't what I want, but I don't know it yet. I can't figure it out. So this is the big, if you hear nothing else, hear this takeaway. I started keeping a pain and joy journal. Actually, in my case, it was a spreadsheet. I'm a Virgo. I love my spreadsheets. And on one column, it was pain, and on one column, it was joy. And everything that brought me pain, I wrote in the pain category. And when I say pain, I mean headache, crying, lack of energy, anger, anything that brought me negative emotions. I just didn't feel good afterwards. I didn't sleep good afterwards. Anything, pain. And I wrote what it was that I was doing that day or at that moment. And then on the other side, joy. When am I humming, singing, dancing, clapping, high-fiving? When do I have more energy? When am I excited? When do I want to celebrate? When do I want to share with people? These are my wins. These are my joys. And before I knew it, I looked at this list, and everything on the pain point was people. And everything on the joy side was things I was doing almost always alone. And computers and marketing wins. And even if it was a production win, because I am very, very motivated by goals, achieving goals, making money, reaching milestones. Sometimes they would have to do with what our group did, but more often than not, I was tying it to a direct activity. I was doing SEO. I was building a website. I was, these types of things. And I said, this is not working anymore. I got to change something. So I went to my oldest daughter and I said to her, I don't know if I don't know how I'm going to keep this going, or I don't know if I'm going to keep, I forget how I phrased it. And I forget the order, but at some point I offered my daughter 50% of the business. And I said, but in exchange for this, you're no longer my employee. You're my business partner. Which now looking back on it was so silly, because she doesn't have my behavioral profile. She's not a risk taker. She's not a person that wants to work all day. Why I ever thought that was going to work, I honestly think I was trying to protect her. I wanted to keep her working. I wanted to keep her making money. I loved her and I wanted big things for her, which she's doing great now off on her own. But at the time I thought that meant I got to give her half the business. And my affiliate marketing had actually built itself up to 6 figures, where I was now making 6 figures from teaching people how to build their websites. And they were signing up for tools that I used, software, and I was making money off of the tools that they signed up for with no extra cost to them. That's what affiliate marketing is. And all of a sudden it's 6 figures. So I thought, okay, I'm making about, let's just say it was $180,000 or something like that. I was thinking to myself, I could split that and my daughter and I could work 50-50 on it. She teaches like I do. She could help build this affiliate side. We would build this YouTube channel. She would be a teacher alongside me. She would be a coach with me. We would build this side of the business and we would let the digital marketing side go. And she said to me, Mom, I don't want your life. I don't want to work. I want a 9-to-5. It's not who I am. And at first I was flabbergasted how somebody could not want what I want. And we have kind of a broken relationship these days. And I think that all of that was a big part of it, was me not being able to understand her and how she was motivated in life. And I have a tendency to, I used to say, I have a tendency to want more for people than they want for themselves. And that's so rude. So I've rephrased that. I have a tendency to want for other people what they don't even want for themselves. Whew, that was an aha moment. And not even what they should want. And so I've learned. I'm way better now, guys. I'm way better than I was understanding back then. And so I had to really think on this. And I said to her one day, I said, okay, sat down with my brothers, and my brothers and I agreed that I would gift them basically the digital marketing company. I wanted nothing more to do with it. They were going to go build it and run it. And I would keep a 10% interest, but with no tie-ins, no requirements of me. You go do you. I'm not going to be involved. I'm not even going to look at your branding. I'm not there, even though it carries my name. You guys go do what you want to do. So that's solved. Now they're going to be okay. And I won't go into it all today, but trust me, I'm the caregiver of my family. I always want to take care of everybody. And most of my life, that's what including my own mother, that's what I have done. So it was important to me that everybody was okay. So they're okay now. I asked my older daughter, what do you want to do? And I said, would you like me? I know one of my best friends in the real estate industry is looking for an executive admin. And I could probably see that you actually got more money and a pretty lateral move otherwise, like 9-to-5 shifts and that kind of thing. And she said, yes, please. So that's what I did. I got her a job with my friend. And now all of a sudden I wake up one day and I'm like, oh, I could breathe. For the first time I felt like in my life. No more pressure of having to be a certain type of leader, or I'm too strict, or I'm too bold, or I'm too blunt, or I'm not enough, or I didn't have to deal with that anymore. It was just Lori. And I knew I could get results through me. And I didn't have to worry anymore about where the break was in the funnel, working through others. And there are a lot of people out there that love to work through other people. God bless you all that love just to grow other people. It's just not me. I like to coach other people. I like to teach other people. I don't like to get other people into production or learning a certain skill set or master, that type of thing. And let me just tell you that when I let go of all that, although it was very, very scary because it's for the first time in my entire life I've been alone, and it's the first time in my entire life that the income 100% depends on me, the lid popped off, like in a good way. That's not the word I'm looking for. My business just did amazing. And I just started rocking and rolling and finding all of the spaces that I loved so much and continued to follow my joy and left everything else alone. If it didn't fit my lifestyle, my freedom, my joy, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It goes away. I have never looked back. That was 2000. What year would that have been? I cannot even recall now. So I've been in this house 5 years. So it was probably 3 years, but so it's probably been about, let's just say it's been 6 or 7 years now that I've been on my own. Probably 7 is the number I'm coming up with. And every year I've made more money than the year before that. And I've made way more money than I ever made in my marketing company profit-wise. My business is astronomically 78% profitable. That's almost all profit. My only expenses are software and the cost of goods sold. So I'm an affiliate marketer, so sometimes I will buy things that I will then talk about and then make affiliate commission. So like yesterday, I ordered $1,000 worth of Pottery Barn Halloween pillows because I thought it would be fun on my YouTube channel to do a Pottery Barn haul that is all their pillows that sell out every year. I just thought it would be fun. So, excuse me, my business pays for that. And then I do the haul, and then I attach affiliate links. And then when somebody goes and buys those items, I earn a commission. For example, yesterday I sold 17 Pottery Barn twinkling light trees because of a video I made last year that is now resurfacing for seasonality reasons. And now all of a sudden those are starting to sell. I also do ebooks. I'm a digital marketing coach. And then I build monetize channels that make money through ad revenue, such as YouTube channel. I make money when ads run on the channel. I have a couple of those, and Pinterest and blogging ad revenue through some of those. But my top income streams are software affiliates and now product affiliates, which is Amazon influencer, TikTok shop affiliate, YouTube affiliate program, LTK, the like to know it or reward style app, that type of thing. That's a 6-figure income stream in its own. The software is a 6-figure income stream in its own. Software affiliate. I teach people how to use software. And then my digital marketing side of my business, which is digital marketing products, coaching, communities, that's a 6-figure income stream. And I'm 78% profitable. And I never, ever, ever could have done that having what I had before. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy doing what I do. Now, the cons, if you stayed this far, I appreciate you still being here. The cons, it gets lonely. I don't have high fives. I don't get attaboys. Not that I ever really did. Anyway, my brothers were pretty good about cheering me on, though I have to say. But most of what I got was shame and guilt and resentment rather than attaboys. So I don't get the attaboys from other people. I don't have peers that really do much of the same things I do. A little bits of it. Like I went to a TikTok shop, top beauty influencer event, and I met some really nice girls that were all in the TikTok shop space, but they weren't also doing all the other things I'm doing. There's YouTubers and VidCon, but that's different than what I'm doing. So I've never really kind of found a pocket of peers that are kind of doing all of these things. And being over 50, it's even much more of a limited space. And so it gets a little bit lonely. I miss the big celebrations and the happy hours the whole team would go to sometimes afterwards, that I would sponsor, of course, but to celebrate a good month or a good season or a good quarter or whatever it is. The other con, I guess, even though for me it's not, but for other people it would be, is I carry the risk, which means if a platform changes I could lose a source of income. If I didn't show up and do the work, I'd lose income. Where when you're building a team, you can rely on other people to show up and do the things, even if you're not doing them. However, what I leverage now instead is evergreen content that lives and makes me money no matter what I'm doing. And to me, that's actually even better. It would, if I just stopped working, that would disappear. It would take a decade. I mean, it would slowly dwindle, but it would take so many years for that income to stop coming in that I think I'm at the point now where I almost could retire a very slow, quiet life on that, which is not the kind of life I want. So I'm going to keep going for a while, but it is a risk, and most people are not willing to take those types of risks. They have risk aversion, and I don't. So I'm also incredibly disciplined. I just show up. I do the work, but you know what? I don't even consider it discipline because it's what I enjoy doing. It's how I'm wired. I'm pulled. I don't have to push to go do my business. I'm pulled to go do my business. I wake up, bells on, let me just get after it. And that doesn't shut off with me ever. And I just took my mom on a 8-day, beautiful Alaska cruise, first class, all expense paid. We each had our own rooms. We had our own cabins on the ship. We had our own rooms at the hotel. We flew first class, all the things. And I did it all on this income. And guess what else? Nobody needed me for anything. Not a text message. I didn't have to cancel any clients. I didn't have to tell anybody I was going to be gone, other than my coaching clients, but we only meet twice a month. We do 2 live monthly calls. And then we have a Facebook group, which I was able to, if anybody had a question, I was able to answer it from my phone really quick while I was gone. So there was no need. There was no lack of money because I took a trip. There was nothing that stopped because I was gone for 8 days. And guess what? That was like my 4th or 5th trip of the year already, and it's July. So to me, it's earned in freedom. Other people will tell you have to do that through people. I will tell you that's not true. You can do it through systems. You can do it through content. You can do it through things that you build that keep on living no matter where you are. I made travel vlog videos while I was traveling. Did they make a lot of money? No, not yet, because I'm just now kind of building that side of the income. But my software affiliates kept coming in. My coaching clients were still there. My ebooks and digital products were still selling. My ad revenue was still coming in on all of my channels. It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful life. Do I think I'll ever go back? I cannot imagine. Every now and then I think to myself, what would it look like if I had somebody that was just doing all of my product inventory for me, or somebody that was doing all of my Pinterest for me, or my editing my videos for me, or whatever else. And then I stop and go, I don't want to do it because I don't want to hire again. I like working through my own systems and processes and not being frustrated by having to be a certain way for somebody else or them having to be a certain way for me. It's just honesty. That's all there is to it. Anyway, thank you for joining me. My name is Lori Ballen, ballenblueprint.com. If you're interested in learning more about the lifestyle of a digital marketer, I'd love to have you. Talk to you later.